Who's the laziest BTS member when it comes to showering, or is that just a fan myth blown out of proportion? What do the members themselves actually say about hygiene, dorm life, and daily routines? Let's break down the facts and separate jokes from reality. Number 7. RM. Right from BTS's early dorm days, Kim Namjoon has often been the subject of lighthearted jokes about being messy. But it's important to draw a clear line between humor and fact. Multiple interviews, variety appearances, and behind-the-scenes clips consistently show the members teasing RM for things like misplacing items, knocking things over, or having a cluttered personal space not for avoiding basic hygiene. In fact, during early group living conditions, BTS shared tight dorms with limited bathrooms, which naturally created scheduling conflicts for showers, something all members have openly talked about. RM himself has acknowledged being absent-minded, which fuels the running joke. But there has never been any verified statement from him or the group that he neglects bathing. On the contrary, as the leader, RM has maintained a professional image throughout BTS's global career, attending high-profile events like the United Nations General Assembly and major brand partnerships where personal grooming is non-negotiable. The lazy-to-shower narrative tied to him largely stems from exaggerated fan interpretations of variety show humor rather than factual claims. In reality, what you're seeing is a classic case of idol group dynamics members amplifying small quirks for entertainment value. Strip away the jokes, and the facts are simple. RM is messy, not unhygienic. And in a group where teasing is practically a love language, that distinction matters more than the punchline. Number 6. Jin. When Kim Seok-jin is labeled lazy, it almost always traces back to one consistent, verifiable habit. He values sleep a lot. Across multiple BTS logs, interviews, and reality content like Bon Voyage and Run BTS, Jin is repeatedly described by both himself and the members as someone who will choose rest whenever possible, especially during exhausting schedules. In early dorm life, where 7 members shared limited space and time, this often meant tightly packed routines where sleep sometimes came before anything else. There are documented moments where members joked about Jin being the last to get up or needing extra time to fully wake, which in fan culture occasionally morphs into exaggerated claims about skipping showers. But the actual, verifiable context is much more grounded. BTS operated under intense training and promotional cycles, often running on minimal sleep, and prioritizing rest was not laziness, it was survival. Jin has never stated that he avoids bathing, nor have other members seriously accused him of it. The tone is always comedic, never factual. As BTS transitioned into global stardom, Jin's role expanded into hosting, performing, and representing the group internationally, all of which require strict personal care standards. His polished appearances at award shows, press events, and global campaigns reinforce that reality. What fans interpret as lazy is really just a consistent personality trait, someone who knows when his body needs recovery and isn't shy about choosing it. And in an industry known for burnout, that's less of a flaw and more of a quiet form of discipline. Because sometimes, the most responsible choice isn't doing more, it's knowing when to stop. Number 5. J-Hope. When it comes to cleanliness, Young Ho-seok actually sits on the opposite end of the spectrum from the lazy label, but that hasn't stopped jokes from circulating. Verified behind-the-scenes footage and member interviews consistently describe J-Hope as one of the most organized and hygiene-conscious members in BTS. He's openly talked about needing things to be clean and in order, and other members have confirmed this, often pointing out how he tidies shared spaces and keeps personal items structured. So where does the lazy-to-shower angle come from? It doesn't, at least not from facts. Instead, it's a byproduct of chaotic dorm storytelling, where any mention of shared bathroom struggles or tight schedules gets generalized across all members. During BTS's early years, with 7 people sharing limited facilities, timing not willingness was the real issue. Everyone had to rotate quickly, often after long rehearsals or late-night shoots. In that environment, delays or jokes about who goes first could easily turn into exaggerated fan narratives. But J-Hope's own behavior directly contradicts that idea. His stage persona alone, high energy, precise, and physically demanding, requires consistent self-care and discipline. Add to that his role as a dance leader, where he often monitored practice conditions and group readiness, and it becomes clear that hygiene wasn't something he neglected, it was part of staying performance ready. Over time, the contrast between his strict personal standards and the group's playful teasing only made him more of a reference point in these conversations. So, if anything, J-Hope isn't part of the lazy discussion, he's the reason it doesn't hold up. Because in a group built on synchronized precision, someone has to keep things in check, and for BTS, that's often him. Number 4. V. Kim Taehyung is known for his unpredictable personality. And that's exactly where the lazy narrative tends to attach. But again, the facts tell a different story. Across documented BTS content, V is often described as someone who operates on his own rhythm, sometimes appearing indifferent to routines that others follow strictly. In early dorm life discussions, members have joked about his laid-back attitude, especially when it came to timing, like taking longer to get ready or moving at his own pace. In a cramped living setup with shared bathrooms, even small delays could turn into running jokes, and V's relaxed approach made him an easy target for that humor. But there's no verified statement from V or any member confirming that he neglects hygiene. What is documented, however, is his strong interest in fashion, skincare, and visual presentation, particularly as BTS's global exposure grew. V has appeared at major international events, fashion shows, and brand campaigns, where grooming standards are strict and non-negotiable. His consistent public image, polished, styled, and camera-ready, directly contradicts the idea of poor hygiene. The lazy to shower label comes from personality interpretation, not factual behavior. It's the contrast between his calm, sometimes detached demeanor and the high-pressure environment around him that creates the illusion. Strip away the dorm jokes and variety show edits, and what remains is a performer who simply doesn't rush but still shows up exactly as required. And in an industry obsessed with speed, moving differently doesn't mean doing less, it just means playing by your own timing. Number 3. Jungkook. Jungkook has probably been mentioned the most in fan discussions about showering habits, but this is one of the clearest cases where jokes, partial quotes, and context get mixed together. Jungkook himself has openly shared in live broadcasts and interviews that he sometimes delays routine tasks, especially when he's fully absorbed in something like music production, gaming, or working out. That detail is real and verifiable. However, it's often exaggerated into claims that he avoids bathing altogether, which is not supported by any factual statement. In reality, Jungkook is also known for intense physical routines, including boxing, weight training, and long dance practices, all of which require regular hygiene for basic health and recovery. Other members have commented on his habits in a teasing tone, especially during earlier years, but never in a serious or critical way. Context matters. BTS spent years in high-pressure schedules, often returning to their dorms late at night exhausted. In that environment, saying, "I'll shower later," or pushing it back due to fatigue, isn't unusual, it's human. As Jungkook matured, his public image has consistently reflected high standards of grooming, especially during solo promotions and international appearances. His performances demand stamina, precision, and physical upkeep, none of which align with neglecting basic self-care. The persistence of this lazy-to-shower idea says more about how quickly casual remarks spread in fan culture than it does about Jungkook's actual behavior. Because when you separate the jokes from the facts, what you're left with is someone who may procrastinate, but always delivers when it counts. And that difference is everything. Number 2. Jimin. Park Jimin is often described by members as gentle and relaxed offstage, and that calm energy sometimes gets misread as lazy in fan discussions, but there's no factual basis linking him to poor hygiene. In documented BTS content, Jimin is actually known for being highly detail-oriented about his appearance, especially when preparing for performances or public events. Members have repeatedly mentioned how seriously he takes stage readiness, from outfit coordination to overall presentation. During early dorm life, like all members, Jimin dealt with shared spaces and tight schedules, where shower timing was a logistical issue rather than a personal choice. Any jokes about delays or routines were part of group banter, not evidence of neglect. What's verifiable is his strong work ethic. Jimin has spoken about practicing late into the night to refine choreography, often pushing himself physically. In those conditions, occasional comments about being tired or moving slowly between tasks can easily be taken out of context. But his consistent public image, polished, precise, and performance-ready, directly reflects disciplined self-care. As BTS expanded globally, Jimin represented the group at high-profile events, brand campaigns, and televised performances, all requiring strict grooming standards. The idea that he would disregard basic hygiene simply doesn't align with that reality. What you're seeing instead is a personality that conserves energy offstage and explodes with intensity on it. And in a career built on contrast, that balance isn't laziness, it's control. Number 1. Suga. Min Yoongi is probably the closest you'll get to a real source behind the lazy-to-shower joke, but even here, the facts need precision. Suga has openly said in interviews and live streams that when he's deeply focused on producing music, he can lose track of time and delay everyday routines, including eating or showering. That statement is real, and it's where most of the narrative originates. During BTS's early years, he spent long hours in the studio, often overnight, working on tracks not just for the group, but also his own projects. Other members have confirmed his intense, almost tunnel vision approach to work, sometimes joking about how he disappears into music. But crucially, this isn't about avoiding hygiene, it's about prioritization during creative immersion. In high-pressure production cycles, especially under tight comeback deadlines, that kind of behavior isn't unusual among producers and artists. Outside of those moments, Suga's public appearances from award shows to global tours consistently reflect professional grooming standards. As BTS's reputation grew, so did the expectations, and Suga has met them every time. The lazy to shower label sticks because it has a small, factual root, but it's often stretched far beyond its actual meaning. What the evidence really shows is someone who, when locked into creation, temporarily ignores everything else. And in that state, time blurs, routines slip, and only the work matters. Because for Suga, it's never been about skipping a shower, it's about chasing a sound until nothing else exists.